Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday Eve. Almost,
Morning.
almost a week, another week down. Okay, so November group. As always, we're going to start with a fun question. And as we give answers, if you could just remind folks of your role here too. Are you ready? This is like my favorite part of doing this whole thing. Okay, so what fictional city, world, place, universe would you live in or visit, and why? What fictional city, world, place, universe would you live in or visit, and why? Anybody got it? Ready to go?
I do. I mean, it's so basic, but I don't care because it was my immediate gut reaction and it's where I would want to live. So I'm going with it.
Let's go.
First of all, I'm Mariah. I am the FFT clinical supervisor. My answer is 1000%. I would want to go to Hogwarts. Like, that's absolutely where I would want to be. Like, I love Harry Potter. I love everything about it. And that is absolutely where I would want to go and live and just learn how to be a wizard. 100%.
Have you ever done like the sorting thing? Are you in?
So yeah, I've done the sorting thing, and I also have been to Universal Studios, to both of the theme parks there, and I lived my best life. I mean, I'm not ashamed. I love everything about Harry Potter.
Are you going to share what house you're in?
I don't know if I should, but okay, I will.
It's
So
fine. You don't have to.
I've gotten both depending on what it looks like. Sometimes
Look
it's
at Brittany.
Ravenclaw and sometimes it's Slytherin, if we're being completely honest.
Apparently, your teammates believe that you are more Slytherin based.
Yeah, I mean that's really apropos if we're being honest. So yes, that's my answer.
I love it. Anybody else? Ready? Go ahead, Lauren. I'm excited to hear this one.
It's not crazy. I'm also a Slytherin. That's not probably
Oh, okay.
like I'm like, oh, Mariah.
I mean, it makes sense. You guys get along very well. You would be
not a bad thing.
You might even be roommates. Forget housemates.
But if I could live in any fictional place, I would actually want to live in the Shire. Because I want my own little hobbit hole. They also really love food. They're fun. They're a good time.
They
and
are.
everybody has this like beautiful curly hair. I mean, and they celebrate. It seems like they take really good care of their curls. Like I don't, obviously.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. If I could live in the Shire and my curly hair would magically be beautiful, I might be in. I don't know, Emma, you might have to come too. Not that your hair is not beautiful, but imagine waking up and having to do nothing to our hair.
Exactly. They can't, because I'm like, what products are they using? It's like, it's just magic, I think. It's just magic.
Emma,
That's
we
what
need
I
to have
want.
to go shopping for hobbit hair products. Emma and I have talked a little bit about curly hair, so I'm comfortable, you know.
It's a big struggle. It really is.
When you have curly hair, it's a big topic in your life.
It takes up a lot of my time.
That's why I won't do it.
I have so many products. It's ridiculous how much money I've spent on curly hair products.
I had no idea that living in the Shire, it would fix this problem. So I might have to change my answer.
And I feel like also I just looks fun and delicious.
Well, thanks for the info, Lauren. Emma, are you ready to tell us where you would go now that we've automatically just become cousins of the Shire?
I don't even know how I thought of this, but if anyone's watched the movie Trolls, I would love to go and live there. I love that movie, and they're just so happy all the time, and it's like rainbow and glitter, and like I just feel like it would be so fun.
That would be fun. I love it. And you wouldn't have curly hair.
I would have like crazy troll hair, and I feel like I would just wake up perfect. So
what? Glittery and happy. I love that, Emma. That's awesome.
I'm so embarrassed about how excited I just got. It's my
It was-
favorite.
It was
Trolls
a
is my
great, it's a
favorite.
great answer.
I was
Absolutely
supposed to.
phenomenal
I was
answer.
supposed to go see the third one early access this weekend.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. I'm so excited.
Okay. Who's next?
I guess I'll go. I'm Ellie, FFT clinician. These are always so hard for me because I'm such a boring person. But I just thought, why not be in Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory world where anything that I touch, I can eat. So that's what I thought.
I adore that. Yes.
That's not boring at all.
No. That is very fun. And you could turn anybody you don't like into like the blueberry girl. That is not boring at all. No. Oh. All right. Sam, Michelle, Brittany.
All right, I'll go. So first off, I am Sam. I do recruiting, social media, and all that stuff. I am a Hufflepuff. But where I would want to live is I don't know if anybody's seen it. It's a show called Arcane. And it's like set in a steampunky kind of post-apocalyptic kind of setting, and it's really cool. I would think that would be awesome.
Oh, I could totally see you in that environment. Yeah, I could. I feel like you would even like the dress type stuff, like the garb they wear, right? Yeah, totally.
I definitely have a couple pieces already.
Oh, you guys just already preparing for it. Oh, Michelle, Brittany.
I'm Michelle. Do training and licensing for FCA. The world. Two things came into mind. Neverland, one of the fairies. Fly around, cause mischief. Just saying. The other is the Smurf Village. That would be fun.
That would be fun. I love it. All right, so I feel like, or Brittany, are you ready or you want me to go?
I'm gonna go. I just felt so bad because everybody's answer was so happy and mine is so dark. So everybody was like, I want cool hair and I get to eat and
Technically,
chocolate
mine
factory.
isn't super happy, so
I want to go to Westeros from Game of Thrones and I want to behead people. So it wasn't the best answer. I think it'll be really cool. I think I'll look really good with like the white hair. I think that's where I'm going. And I'm sorry that my answer is my answer. I tried to like
I am
pick
so
another
glad you were
place.
honest with us. I am so glad you were honest with us.
Brittany, that is, I mean, you guys are nothing if not consistent as far as the personalities and where you're, I love it. 10 out of 10. Mindy, I can't wait to hear where you're going to see how this lines up.
Okay, so I actually want to live and visit different places. So I actually have, because to me, like, right, I want to visit Stars Hollow. I want Lorelai Gilmore to be my mother, and I want Rory to be my BFF.
Just go to New Milford.
No, Lorelai and Rory are not there.
Yeah, she wants the full experience.
I want to eat at Luke's Diner. Right? Like, okay. But I just want to visit there because, there's snow and I want to go to like the Crazy Pumpkin meet, like all of it. Okay. But
that's a lot of Connecticut, right?
I do,
We're here.
But Lorelai, it's all about Lorelai and Rory and Luke. Like
A lot of it's in, what is it, Washington? Is it Washington?
Yeah. And I actually, so sadly, I went to they had the Gilmore Girls reunion up there where like they had some of the stars come and do the autographs and stuff. Yeah, I was there. It's fine.
I've met Luke at Comic-Con.
We might have to talk after this.
I'm going to change my answer to the Wizard of Oz to be positive. Okay.
No. You could visit one and live someplace else, Brittany. It's fine. You don't have to be positive. All right. And where I want to live, Mariah, do you have a guess? I feel like you have a guess.
No, I just can't wait to hear it.
I want to live in Kalahari. That is the
I didn't know that.
island. That is the made up island where Mamma Mia takes place.
I could
Not
totally see
surprising
you
at
there.
all. Yes, 100%. That's an excellent answer, by the way. And yes, absolutely hits the mark. I love
Right?
it. This is my favorite part, by the way, of all of this. Learning
All that
things
like
about you.
dancing and drinking and kicking back with friends and family. That's my life. Well, it's not, but it's what I want it to be. All right. This is absolutely my favorite part of this whole thing. But that being said, we can't just do that. So today we're actually going to talk about when things get difficult, which apparently Brittany's just going to hop from one to the other universe to avoid the difficult. But when we know that when things get difficult, it often starts with a youth having some type of struggle. The situation intensifies when our emotions as an adult interferes with our ability to help. We know that sometimes we take things personally. We know that it might be a trigger for us. Whatever that reason is, our emotions are getting in the way. We know that what causes stress for one person may not cause stress for another person. And that from person to person, we handle stress differently and our triggers are different. We also know, we've talked about that the alarm system, right? That fight, flight, and freeze in most foster children is really overwhelmed. It's super heightened. And so we know that their stress level is generally high. A crisis is generally defined as a buildup of stressors that overflows. During regular stress, we can still function, right? We talk about sometimes on Fridays, or we'll text each other like, oh, this has been such a stressful week, but we all made it through. During a crisis, we are not able to function without assistance, right? The stress gets so high that somebody or something has to intervene for us to get back to some level of functioning. If we can handle that normal everyday stress, we can avoid a crisis. That's what FFT is about. It's about giving youth and foster parents coping mechanisms so that they can try and prevent the crisis from happening. They can understand each other better. They can understand what is behind the behaviors, what is the intent, and help teach different skills to manage situations and emotions. So, hold on, I gotta share my screen. We all know that this is all right. So here's a list. Can you see them? Okay. So if there's something on here that doesn't, if there's something on here that you do or that you feel, that's fine. That's what that bottom one is for. But which two would you say fit you best? Give everybody a second to read them. Thanks, Lauren. Appreciate that. So I'm going to stop sharing so we can all see each other. But basically, what we're looking for are what are two things that happened when you're stressed? that really resonate with you? Go ahead, Lauren. Or Lauren, did you have your hand up or were you? Okay, thank you.
Forgot the one that was on the list that I was gonna say. Oh, the one that I was gonna say is when I get stressed, I need someone to talk to, usually about it. The other thing is that I I just feel sick. Like I feel like a little bit run down, or I get a stomach ache. Or I just tell people, I just kind of push people away a little bit at the same time of needing to talk to somebody.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Go ahead, Mariah.
I'm definitely more of an internalizer. So when I get super stressed, I just shut down. Like I just won't do anything. I'll just shut down, call it a day. And definitely, Lauren, like you were saying, I don't want to be around anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to be in my own little space.
Go ahead, Brittany.
When I get stressed, I have to move my body. So I have to walk or go for a run and try to just move that energy around for me. And then I also get this crazy headache. Like it's to the point where I need to lay down. Like the lights are off, I get a migraine. But I definitely have to first just get up and move my body.
So, Brittany, very similar to you. I get a crazy headache too. And I also noticed that all of this just like gets super, super tense. I feel like I'm walking around like this. So that happens to me when I get stressed. And also when I get stressed, I tend to distract myself by throwing myself into something. I need to like to put all my focus and energy on one particular thing. So I guess in some ways I do isolate. Anybody else? Yeah, Ellie.
So I tend to get very quiet. And also don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone for a few days until I can talk. But I also do tend to get stress headaches, and those are the worst.
They're awful. So, oh, sorry, Sam, go ahead.
For me, I have a tendency to get angry. I get really frustrated easily. Yeah.
And so we're all pretty in touch with what happens for us when we get stressed. Do you recognize it though, when you're in the middle of it? Do you know that you're that stressed?
I have a tendency to hold it all in until I explode.
Valid.
I've
would
definitely
okay.
been told that I get a little bit spicy. I don't realize it,
Yeah.
but I've been told I
Spicy.
get a little bit spicy with people.
Okay.
I do think that I recognize it, but it's taken a lot of years and a lot of effort to get to that place. However, while I do recognize it, and oftentimes I can recognize I'm shutting down because I'm stressed, I'm not great about making that transition to doing something about it. So recognize it, yes, but not always great about, okay, so what am I going to do about it?
That's super insightful.
I am really good at recognizing when it's coming on, but once the train has started, it doesn't stop. So even if I'm in the middle of it and I'm recognizing I'm doing this because I'm stressed, I can't stop. It has to run its course.
Yeah. And so, I mean, if we take a step back, right, we're all technically professionals, whatever that means. And we're all adults. So we've just said we know how we act when we're stressed. We pretty much can recognize, but we can't necessarily stop it. So how does that translate for those around us?
Not good. I have a tendency to kind of take it out on my husband until he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And so we sit down and talk, and I realize, "Oh, hey, I am super stressed."
It is oftentimes the prompting of those around me where I'm like, oh, maybe you need to do something about this, because they know me well enough to be like, hey, what's going on? You're off your game. And then I'm like, oh, right, there is all this stress. And now I need to do something to work through it or process it.
So how can we help our foster kids not become defensive when someone's prompting them? And well, let's just start there. How do we help our foster kids not become defensive? Right? Because a lot of the times it sounds like a criticism, or, you know, just because their alarm systems are always so hyper vigilant, it sounds like an attack. It's fearful. It's an attack.
Something that I do with people in my life and that I've practiced with myself with other people, and telling them this is something that helps me, if not just when I'm stressed, but like if I'm just clearly not myself in the moment, is I ask people, you know, hey, like kind of seems like something might be going on with you. I'm not sure. If so, do you want to talk about it? Should I leave you alone right now? What might work? Do you need space? Are you hungry? Like what's something that I can do to support you? And sometimes that's just, especially I think for teenagers, sometimes it's leave me alone. But it's also helping to, I think, develop being able to answer that question, because I think it takes time to learn also what do I need in those moments, and talking with people when they're not in that space, because when you're in that space and you don't have those skills yet, I think it's really hard to think and to hear when you're not prepared to give those answers. And again, these are all skills to learn, but just being able to say, if I just need to be alone, or can we just sit and watch TV and just not talk? Can I talk to you about this? Because everybody has their own way of dealing with things the same way adults, kids, and I think just being able to verbalize, even if it's yes or no, is a really simplified way maybe to communicate. Maybe.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. That was
Just
Mariah, Michelle, Brittany. Yeah, I love this.
just going off of what Lauren was saying, knowing that some kids have difficulty expressing themselves, allowing them to have like just a piece of paper or journal that just write it down. Just to get it out again, if they feel comfortable with it.
Brittany, you want to go or you want me to go? Okay. Brittany won't interrupt, so Brittany will never go if somebody doesn't let her go. Yeah, piggybacking off of both of those things, I think, Lauren, you made a good point, and then Michelle following up on how sometimes it is hard in the moment to express where we're at, what we're feeling. And so what I've done with some kids and families I've worked with before is pre-plan what that conversation is going to look like. So instead of you know, the adult looking at the kid and being like, whoa, you seem really stressed out today. Whoa, you seem really angry today. Maybe it's some sort of a code word like, hey, do you need a minute in your room before we chat? Or, hey, do you want to walk outside for a minute? But it's a planned situation where that kid is able to know, oh, okay, like they're identifying this big emotion that I'm having, but it's not being called out on it. So it decreases that little bit of defensiveness. Because even for me, when people in my life are like, whoa, you seem really stressed, my reaction is, no, I'm not like, of course, I'm not like, hey, let's talk about it. So sometimes just that pre-planning and using words that can lower that defensiveness right out the gate are beneficial.
Love that. And Brittany, I'm going to throw it over to you, but I can know that sometimes when people even call me out of my stress, I'm different. I'm like, yes, yes. Like, right. So even when I'm owning it, I'm still like, I guess, spicy about it.
I was going to just agree with Mariah. I find that with children, everybody has their own defense mechanism. Everybody has their own ways of calming down as well. So to just kind of do that pre-planning work to ask them, when you are super stressed, what are 3 things that you want from me? What are 3 things that I can do to help you? And kind of having that conversation before anything kind of escalates. I found out some kids do want to be left alone, but some kids also want to be left alone with art supplies. Some of them want like calm down corners. Some of them like fidgets. Some of them want to watch TV. So just getting that information beforehand helps out a lot. And it also helps with me. Like I said, for me, when I'm stressed, I want to go for a walk. So instead of coming up to me going, Brittany, oh my God, what's going on? For me, it'll be better if you're just like, hey, you want to go for a walk? Did you go for a walk today? Let's just go outside. So just having that information beforehand helps out a lot.
I think the other thing for adults too is trying to remember a time maybe when you were just in that moment. I can remember a very specific time when I was in the car with my mom and I was not in a good mood and she kept asking me about it. And I remember just losing it because I didn't know how to process it, my own emotions in that moment, any other way. And so I think also recognizing as the grown up, when to also just take a step back. And if they're saying there's nothing wrong, I'm fine. Fine. Okay. Because I would say that that's a way of saying, I don't want to talk about this. I'm feeling something. I don't know what it is. I can't talk about it. I can't process it. So I think that's another way of almost supporting, is by just letting it go. In that moment, letting it go, revisit it later. If it's something that needs revisiting.
Yeah. So Lauren, you actually just really touched on my next question. So thank you for that smooth segue. I appreciate it. How do we as adults stay out of crisis mode too, right? We know, let's just say we had a super stressful day. We're coming home. We recognize that the foster youth we're working with, or even our own kids, let's be honest, because are sort of heading towards sliding down that crisis slope. How do we stay out of the crisis with them? Yeah. Sorry, Brittany.
Yes. So I don't know if anybody's going to like my answer, but when I noticed that I pick my kids up from school and stuff and they're super stressed, as soon as we get in the door, we have a dance party. So the music is on, everybody is dancing, we're moving before we talk about anything, before anybody has any time to, we sit in the car and we drive and we get home and I'm like, dance party time. And I put on the music and everybody's jumping and moving around and just giving everybody that opportunity to just decompress from the day. Even for me, to just kind of reset. It's like our own little pause button for the middle of the day. And then it's like, all right, now we can continue on with our day.
There's actually a whole bunch of neuroscience behind why your dance party is great, but that's not what this is about.
But no, I love that answer, Brittany. And I think part of what I was going to say goes right along with it, in the sense that I think as adults, it's important to remember that we don't always have to be perfect or on our game. And it's okay for us to role model, like, hey, you seem stressed. Well, I had a real crummy day too. So what can we do together to work through this? And it's okay to acknowledge, hey, I'm not in a great place right now either. It's been a long day. Like Brittany, exactly what you were saying, just being able to role model that for your kids, that it's okay to need a minute. It's okay to need to shake it out and calm down before you have a conversation, I think is really, really, really important for adults to remember. We don't always need to be perfect. It's okay to acknowledge when we need a minute too, and use that as a role modeling teaching experience for kids.
Yeah. And Mariah, I think that idea of adults not being perfect and being able to role model that, adults being able to apologize, adults being able to say, I don't know, let's figure it out together, or let me get back to you, right? Those are huge things in building trust with kids. Not just when we're stressed, just in general, right? And so that when we are stressed, or that when, you know, we do slide down that slope a little bit, it's okay to come back and make the reparations.
I think one other way to keep ourselves in check a little bit when we're facing the job of reacting is really, really trying to not take it personally as a personal attack on us from somebody, because sorry, Ellie's cat's behind her.
Ellie's cat came to group.
I got this. She's so cute.
What's your cat's name?
This one is Kuka.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Kuka.
I mean, I do think animals are great for keeping us grounded, so this is the perfect time.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's
Lauren.
Oh, it's okay. But I do think that reminding ourselves in that moment that what's happening isn't about us. It's not. Even if it's a reaction to something that we may have done. It's not the emotion, like it's not our job in that moment to I don't know how to word it. It's important to not let our own feelings of hurt necessarily, or frustration, be what guides our reaction and our next steps in supporting a child, and reminding ourselves too that I'm a grown-up. I've had more time on this planet to develop skills of handling these emotions. I may be feeling the exact same way as this child, this teenager. Just like if you've ever been in the grocery store and you hear a little kid crying, I don't know if anybody else has said, I wish that I could also do that right now. But we're grown-ups and we've learned how to manage those feelings and express them in an appropriate way. And just remember that it's not about you. I think that's an important way to keep ourselves from reacting in a way that's going to create more tension and make the situation more bigger than what it is.
I once had a professor tell me, she actually drew it on the board and it's kind of stuck with me. If you think about that, our kids, right? They're in a boat, right? And we are, and they're trying to get to the shore. They're trying to get to this stable place. And we have a choice. We can either jump in the boat and ride the waves with them, the highs and the lows, or we can stand on the shore and we can be the calm and we can be grounded, we can be calm. We could jump in the water too and abandon everything. We could just jump ship, right? And that picture has always stayed with me. Where do I want to be? Do I want to be grounded? And to your point, not taking it personally, what's going on is not about me, it's about the waves, right? That's what's rocking the boat for this kid. Or do I want to jump in the boat and go for the ride? Because for me, abandoning ship is just not an option. So again, that picture's just always stayed with me. That helps me not take it personally. And that helps me understand how my actions are going to impact sort of that boat. If I'm in that boat, I'm going to make it rock too. What are some things, listen, everybody has that crisis in their life. Even the most stable person is going to have a time when they need assistance. What are some things that we would advise or we would coach our foster parents to do in that moment in those 5 minutes where the child really has gone past that stress point and truly needs assistance to get back to a level of functioning?
I would say starting by taking a deep breath is always the best place to start, because that's a lot. That's overwhelming, whether or not it's your kid, a foster kid, another kid. That is a lot when a child has gone past the point of being regulated. I would say starting with taking a deep breath. And then I think beyond that, the next steps are really focusing on, where's the safety here? Can I take a step back? Is this kid safe? Yes, maybe they're screaming and yelling, but are they in a safe place? Can we let it ride for a few minutes before we need to intervene? Or is it a safety issue where we have to intervene? Because I think those are really the first places to start in terms of managing that dysregulation.
Yeah, I love that. Take a deep breath, right? And let's talk about safety. I think there are probably some different perceptions about what is safe and what is not safe. And I think, perhaps defining for our kids, what is safe, what is not safe. When do we need to call 911 immediately versus when can we call FFT on call and ask for some assistance?
Kind of going off of that, I think it's also important that like the foster parents are staying kind of calm and like collected, because that could kind of spiral the child to kind of feel more out of control and more anxious. So while it's very very difficult for the foster parents to be handling that and like seeing that kind of unfold with whether it's like behaviors or things like that, I think it's important that the foster parents are able to like control what they can and like realize and acknowledge that there are things that are out of their control and there's only so much that they can do to kind of like it's not always just going to be like an easy solution, rather.
Yeah, and I love that. And that's part of, like we started in the beginning, that this is part of what the FFT sessions are for, right? So with that, I'm hoping Brittany's going to take it over for me, because I saw her hand go up and I have to give her permission.
Sure. So my first thing is always, can the child commit to safety? Can they commit to a safety plan? Are they not going to harm themselves? Are they not going to harm others? That's always my number one thing when people are calling the on-call or they're looking for assistance, is making sure that, the child is not going to harm themselves, not going to harm others. And then also making sure they're in a safe location. So making sure if they're in their room, are they in the living room, like their physical location, where are they at? Are you guys in the middle of a parking lot? Because then it's a different scenario where a car can drive by versus them being in their room and they might be yelling or screaming, but they are physically safe. And sometimes that means that if they are in their room and they're yelling and screaming, that you might have to ride it out with them and be that safe space and be able to help by helping them verbally, identifying items in the room, trying to calm them down. Or, if their physical safety is in jeopardy, then you need to take the steps up the chain and making sure that they can't commit to, not harming themselves or harming others, that we do call, 911, 211 and get you guys the appropriate services in the moment. But as long as, like I said, they're in their room, they're yelling, they're screaming, using the de-escalation techniques, I feel would be the best. But I definitely agree with Emma. You have to make sure that you have a level head in that situation. You can't be in that situation and everything is happening, and now you're yelling and you're screaming back at them, because now you're just adding fuel to the fire. So definitely, even in that moment, taking a step back and counting to 5 and regulating yourself to make sure that you can properly handle the situation. And then, of course, things that we talk about during our FFT sessions is this an emergency? Is it a crisis, or is it a challenge? So is it an emergency? Do I need to call 911? Do I need to physically get somebody here? Are you throwing items? Can you not commit to safety? It's an emergency. is this a crisis? Are they yelling and screaming in their room and they're able to de-escalate and this is something that we can handle later? Or is this just a challenge? This is something that come up for them throughout the day and we could talk about it throughout the week and implement some services in place. So calming down foster parents and then figuring out what category you're in, I feel is like the best steps. And to help with any crisis or any challenge or anything. So hope this helps.
Sorry, Brittany, I love that emergency versus challenge, right? And to your, maybe they are in the room and maybe they are screaming and maybe they are even breaking some of their toys, but they're safe. They're not out in a parking lot. They are not threatening to hurt someone else or themselves. And so you as the parent, you can still step back, take a few deep breaths, count to 5, let them scream it out if they're staying in their room, and just continue to make sure that they are not hurting themselves, right? The emergency versus the challenge. The emergency is when there is imminent danger to themselves or someone else. They are threatening to kill themselves. They are threatening to kill someone else. A broken fire truck or a broken iPhone is not an emergency. It is a challenge for sure. But it is not an emergency. And by all means, FFT on call is there for the challenges. But a challenge is very different than an emergency. And I love that wording. Thank you for that. That's super helpful. Any other thoughts, comments, questions on everything we've talked about?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Lauren.
I also think it's really important to always remind a child that especially if they're not capable of communicating their needs to you, to also reassure them that you're there when they are ready, that you're not leaving, that where you will be physically, if they're in their room, and let them know, I'm in the living room, I'm going to be sitting on the couch, I'm watching it, I'm here when you feel ready, or if you do need me for something. Because I think even when self-isolating, having the option and knowing that you're still not alone. I may need to be by myself, but I don't want to be alone, which are two different things. So I think constantly and consistently reminding that they're not alone, and they're allowed to take their time to, again, yell, scream, do whatever they need to do, as long as it's, again, physically safe. You're by yourself, but you're not alone.
And I love that, Lauren. Even just sitting in silence sometimes, holding that space for someone can be super powerful. You don't have to necessarily talk about it. You can still be there for someone. Go ahead, Mariah. Sorry, I can't.
No, I was just going to say, Lauren, I think that's hugely important and goes along with what I was going to say too, around all of this stuff is so much easier said than done, right? To take a step back when you have a kid screaming or throwing things or whatever. So I think just the importance of having these conversations, both with like the FFT staff and your supports and the child, when things are calm before they get to this place, so that they know what the plan is going to look like. Like Lauren, you're saying, they know that maybe they will be in their room screaming, but the foster parent is going to be in the living room and they're not going to leave. And, you know, giving that kid, Brittany, like you were saying earlier, ahead of time, what are 2 or 3 things that help you when you're frustrated so that I can offer them to you? Or would you rather I not offer them to you in the moment? Would you rather I just leave you alone? But really pre-planning so that when these things take place, everybody kind of knows what those steps are going to look like. I think is just really important too. Brittany, you raised your hand. I will call on you.
Thank you. And I think a really big piece of this is having that conversation after, being able that once everything is settled down and everybody has kind of decompressed, to have that conversation after with the child, with the teen, or just even self-reflect with yourself if you find yourself going through a moment and being able to identify what emotions you was feeling in the moment and being able to kind of set up a plan for the next time when these emotions arise. But I think having a conversation after and being able to process everything, because at the end of the day, yes, you were yelling and screaming and you got frustrated, but the crisis, the challenge might still be there tomorrow. So how do we go forward? How do we change this? And I think that's what helps really build successful relationships.
I one last thing, and that's kind of also to go off of what Mariah had said, which is that or Mindy, I forget which one of you said it, that these things are a lot easier said than done. And you're not gonna get it right every time. There is going to be a point when you might get frustrated right back at somebody. And having compassion for yourself as well as the child is a really big piece of it too. And a big piece of being able to employ the skills that you have moving forward. Because because you just can't get it right every time, most likely. That's just, it's not realistic. And I don't think that that's the way that we as people just work. So I think have the sense of self-compassion and forgiveness for yourself and your own behaviors is the same way that you would have compassion or forgiveness for a child who struggles to control their emotions.
Lauren, I think you used a great word. You know, these are skills, and skills take practice. And so I think, like you said, having the self-compassion and the room for not just for not just others, but for yourself as well. So to that end, I love to wrap up by hearing what you plan on doing over the weekend, and I'm going to include Friday in the weekend, to help address and manage your own stress. So I can start. I can tell you that I'm gonna go get my nails done. That's what I'm gonna do. Anybody? Oh, Mariah. Oh, go ahead, Mariah. You're ready.
I'm gonna put up my Christmas decorations.
I'm interested to hear how folks feel about that on November 10th.
That's gonna be my stress reliever for the weekend.
Send pictures.
I'm going to a concert and I'm super excited.
Do we get to know who? No. Okay. It's fine.
It's going to be fun though.
I'm going to search. Is it in Connecticut?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to search everybody who's playing in Connecticut, guys. We're going to take a guess. List will be out later today. Go ahead, Lauren.
I'm going to a birthday party tomorrow, and then my mom, my sister, and I on Sunday for my mom's birthday are gonna go do a like pottery painting thing. So that'll be fun.
That is very fun. Send pictures of that too. We need
Oh,
to
I
see
will.
the finished piece. Michelle and Sam.
So on Saturday, my friend is hosting a murder mystery party where we're all dressing up as characters. And on Sunday, this should make you feel a little bit better, Mariah. I'm going to a Christmas expo in Connecticut.
Okay, so you have to send pictures of yourself dressed up. And clearly you're just taking pictures of everything from Mariah on Sunday, but you only need to send that to her.
The murder mystery parties are always fun. Hope you have fun, Sam.
All right, Michelle.
Making sure I have coffee, that I don't run out. Just saying, it gets ugly if I don't have it. And decorating gingerbread houses. That's gonna be interesting with
Oh, that's gonna be so much fun. Send pictures of those.
with two little ones.
I feel like if Ed's doing it, it's 3 little ones, but it's fine.
I mean, I may eat some of it, but you
Okay,
know,
4
making
little
sure
ones.
that it
It'll
makes it
be a
to the
great
housing.
time. Send pictures. Ellie, Emma?
I am going to start a new book tomorrow. It's coming out tomorrow, and I'm gonna be honest, I can't even remember what it's called because it's part of like some sort of like interconnected series with like a million books. But I've been waiting. All I know is November 10th it's coming out. So tomorrow I'm starting the book.
Amazing. Is it like one of those that releases at midnight and you're staying up, or?
Oh, I didn't even think of that. If so, I might
so,
be
she's
tired
gonna be
tomorrow.
really
So hopefully.
Note to Mariah, when she signs into work at 2 a.m. nope.
I know, I should just like stay up all night. I'll start the book, I'll finish the book, and then I'll just like start working at like 2 a.m. But I don't know.
All right, well, you'll have to let those of us who love to read know if it's
I'll
if
let
it's
you
good.
know.
All right. Ellie.
So I have no plan, so it's just me just kicking back at home and relaxing. Pretty
Binge
much.
watch? Are you a binge watcher?
I like my older shows when I used to be a kid, like I don't know if anybody knows like Three's Companies and all of those. Those shows. I love those shows. So I can rewatch them forever, but we'll
I
see
highly
what
recommend Gilmore Girls.
Okay. I don't think I've
I
ever
highly recommend the Golden Girls, which
Oh, yes.
is the best show.
All right. Well, Ellie, you'll have to fill us in on Monday what you did decide to watch. We're all gonna be interested. What decade you went with?
nothing specific, so don't expect anything. Just whatever's on. I don't know. Well, I do love my Hallmark movies, so we'll see. I like those.
Oh, Mariah's gonna encourage that because they're into their Christmas movies.
I actually have a sweatshirt that says, "This is my Hallmark movie watching sweatshirt."
I have socks.
Perfect.
I also do have the last ceramic piece that I did paint here. It's a unicorn on a cloud.
Lauren, that's really good. I'm impressed.
Thank you. I'm an artiste.
All right. Well, nobody's gonna beat that. So thank you all and enjoy your weekend.